Hello and welcome to Galaxy TV News. My name is Iribami Salako. We begin with headlines. Federal Government of Nigeria says it will continue to recognize the cooperative society's crucial role in driving economic growth. Plus on the news, Justice Ramanu should dismiss his Godwin Emefiele's application that he should recuse himself from the ongoing trial. From the international scene, at least 18 people are killed and 23 injured in eastern Thailand after a tour bus rode upside down into a ditch. Details of these and more coming your way soon. Do stay with us. Many thanks for joining us at this time. Now details of the news. Federal Government of Nigeria says it will continue to recognize the cooperative society's crucial role in driving economic growth, social development and community empowerment in the country. The Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Dr. Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, stated this during the flag-off ceremony of the National Intensive Training for Trustees, Management Committees and Managers of Cooperative Societies in Nigeria, held in Kaduna. According to the minister, to meet their expectations of revitalizing the sector, federal government is committed to providing capacity building and development opportunities for cooperative society leaders and managers in the 36 states of the federation, including the FCT. The minister explained that the aim was to bring innovation by renovating first, revitalizing the sector to restore confidence in the masses and bringing back the glory of the cooperative movement as a force to reckon with in socio-economic development in Nigeria.
Because the amount of money in this sector is huge, but if you don't pay attention to it, the wrong people will always go to our people and swindle them. I'm sure you are aware of such kind of story. Mr. President is saying no more. Nigerians must flee from scammers, scavengers, thieves, and all those who try to steal from our people in the name of whatever, but most importantly are coming in the name of cooperatives. We want the cooperative society to do what they know how to do best. Mobilize capital, mobilize resources, and generate livelihood for their members.
The opportunities, because by the time members of court came around, they come, you discover that they are going to learn some training, some skills, some knowledge. When they go back, they are going to share. Because there is a plan now, we are going to go to other areas, as what the minister just said. We'll be going to Ojiriba, which is in Enugu State. We'll be going to Ibadan, so that this kind of training will now be shared, so that people will now start seeing the beauty of what we are saying. Because the opportunity is there. We have over 230 population in Nigeria. Assuming you have just 1 million people to decide to form a cooperative society, you can imagine they put 1 million naira. How much money is that? We are talking about trillion naira. So the opportunity is there. So all we need to have that the right leadership who know the skills and knowledge on how to manage such cooperative society. And I'm telling you, we are there.
The federal government, through the Ministry of Works, has signed the engineering, procurement, construction and finance contract for the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project with MESSRS, Artec Construction Company Nigeria Limited. This contract allows the contractor, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Finance, to secure foreign investment for the project. He said the agreement is in accordance with the renewed administration's roadmap to securing sustainable funding for the laudable and ambitious legacy project that will stimulate economic growth. During the signing ceremony, the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, said the project had the vision of President Bola Tinubu years ago and has come to fruition under the renewed administration. He assured that the contractor's capabilities and the clear political will of Mr. President, the 750-kilometer Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project will be completed by the grace of God before the end of the President's second term. Speaking on the importance of the agreement, he said the beauty of it is that the F component of EPC plus F is what is being fulfilled today, saying by signing this EPC plus F contract, it is paving the way for the contractor through the Federal Ministry of Finance to bring in foreign investment into the project. Now, former President Goodluck Jonathan said INEC vote can't count correctly. He made this allegation, and now we are having our guest Obowe Lawrence Maduboche, who is joining us live from Kaduna. He's a public affairs commentator and founder of Reset Nigeria. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us at this time.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
All right. So very recently, former President Goodluck Jonathan said INEC's vote can't count correctly. What are your thoughts on this statement?
Okay, first of all, I think we need to look at the historical background of why the former president is saying that. If you look at, let's say, the makeup of the National Assembly, more than 50% of the lawmakers there are there because the courts have kept them there. For instance, very recently you saw the furrow at the National Assembly, especially the Senate, where the Senate President and the Senator representing Togi had a squabble, where the Senate President felt disrespected. One of the issues that has come up about that disrespect is the fact that the Senate President himself did not contest the election to even be a senator. The same thing with former Senate President Lawal, the one from Yobe. So by the makeup of Nigeria as it is today, INEC has not been able to translate its policies and strategy into electing credible people in the various political offices in Nigeria. What we have today is where the court are the one instituting. That's one. Then secondly is the fact that the electoral law in Nigeria has come under serious fire. We have had the Supreme Court overturning most of the provisions of the Electoral Act. So if you have a system like that, except it is reformed, except the policies are strengthened in such a way that most of the policies will be in direct consonance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic, it is very unlikely that INEC will be able to conduct credible election in Nigeria.
Okay, now talking about credibility, we know that INEC introduced technology to end this credibility and end multiple voting. Is it that this might not be effective enough to assure people that really vote would count with the use of technology to enhance and give our voting credibility in Nigeria?
Okay, a perfect example is the last general election of 25th February 2023, where in spite of all the technologies deployed, there were questions about the presidential election, where especially the result of the presidential election could not be uploaded to the portal. So that's one stark example that technology cannot solve it all, except there is an attitudinal change of the people implementing this technology. I always tell people that it's not really the problem of INEC, it is the breakdown of values and behaviors among citizens of Nigeria. Because whoever you see in INEC today is somebody's uncle or brother. So except we have a society that values behavioral pattern and characters, we are likely to continue to see people who will continue to manipulate the electoral system, whether you introduce technology or not. So technology introduction must go in consonant with reform attitude and values of the people implementing it. Apart from that, it's human beings that manipulate technology. And for now, that is what we are saying.
Okay, all right. So from your point of view, how do you think the entire electoral process could be addressed for future elections to give us that credibility that the people really need and crave at this time?
Okay, so the starting point is that we've had commissions instituted by previous government to look at our electoral jurisprudence and see where amendments can be made. We have the WAEX report, we have the 2014 National Conference. So if we can put those reports together and call another strategic meeting to see how to strengthen some of these recommendations,
and put them side by side into our electoral act and amend the necessary provisions, because what we have today is the fact that you have an electoral act that is talking A, then you have the constitution that is talking B. So when it gets to the courts, as you know, our law says that any other law that contravenes any section of the constitution will be declared null and void, and that's what you are having. So except you have an electoral act and a constitution that work hand in hand, it will be very difficult. So, but we have not lost. We have a perfect opportunity. The National Assembly is already going through a constitutional reform. I think it's time for stakeholders to come together, look at all the problems. When you have issues, especially the ones that emanated from the last general election, it is a building block for you to make amendments to rebuild what is lost. It's not to stay and cry foul. It's for the whole Nigerians to come together and see how to reform this process to make it credible and make it show the will of the people. But more importantly, I think that there should be a constitutional amendment that will stop the courts from instituting people into political positions. Where elections are questionable and the courts feel that something is wrong, they should send everybody back to the poll so that all representatives in any political office will be a reflection of the wills of the citizens of Nigeria, not the wills of the courts.
Your views with us on the news. Thank you for being a part of our news at this time.
Thank you, always a pleasure.
All right, and that's Obewe Lawrence Madwa Abuchi, a public affairs commentator. Now, moving on with the rest of our stories. The former governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Emefiele, applies that the presiding judge, Justice Rahman Ishodi, should recuse himself from the ongoing trial as he appears in court on Wednesday, subsequent to his ongoing trial. Galaxy TV's Matthew E. Jabike was there and now reports.
Following the allegation leveled against the Special Offences and Domestic Violence Court sitting in Ikeja, Lagos on Monday, February 24, 2025, by Olalekan Ojo, SAN, lead counsel to former governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, on the ground of bias, as well as an application that the presiding judge, Justice Rahman, charge bordering on receiving gratification and corruption demand preferred against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Oshodi said on Wednesday that the allegation has not been substantiated and lacks merit, citing various instances and precedents that can be considered as bias. He went further to define bias as an opening or feeling in favor of one side in dispute, and there is not enough evidence for which he should be recused from the case. However, the high point of the proceedings was when the judge proposed to adjourn the case to sometime in May because of other scheduled dates for court proceedings lined up for March and April. But the counsel to EFCC, Rotimi Oyedepo, appealed for a consideration that the adjournment be within a month. Ojo said that the issue of a month is not sacrosanct, saying he has no objection against May. Finally, the judge advised both parties to agree on a date in May, and it became a back-and-forth argument between Ojo and Oyedepo. Justice Oshodi had to prevail and adjourned to May 26 and 27. Matthew E. Jabike, Galaxy TV News, Lagos.
As the National Assembly set for the retreat on the proposed tax bills, the lawmakers have been advised to remove all the grey areas in the bills in the interest and fairness, growth and development of the country. Not only that, the government at the center has been advised to focus more on harnessing the potential that abound in the agricultural sector and the mineral deposit in the country. Addressing journalists in Abuja at the conclusion of the two-day stakeholders meeting on tax reform bills, Professor Mohammed Kelani of the Confederation of All Progressive Congress Support Group said the National Assembly should reconsider scrapping TED Fund and other agencies.
That document that we should focus more on mineral resources and agriculture. That's number one. Number two, the issue of saying in that document you want to staff state fund, is it Nesina or Nesama, and other agencies of by 2030 should be asked of the question. Those agencies, they need money to operate. Then on the issue of taking all the monies to Lagos, let me tell you, with the note here, we produce the grains.
Professor Kelani enjoined the state governors to think out of the box and tap from the abundant agricultural and mineral resources to complement what they get from the federal government. He further urged the governors to work within the context of credibility and productivity for sustainable development of their states. On local government autonomy, Professor Kelani posited that since the Supreme Court delivered the landmark judgment, nothing serious has been achieved, adding that it seems that there are negative forces working behind the scene to rubbish the essence of the judgment.
The billions of 200 billion the governors have said before and will continue to say it. The overdependence on federal hangouts for sustainability by the state government in Nigeria cannot ensure development of the states at all.
Moving on to other stories. The Standing Chartered Committee on Ways and Means Advance has accused the Central Bank of Nigeria of frustrating its investigation into the 30 trillion naira Ways and Means Advance and the Anchor Borrowers Program under former President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. The committee made the accusation after receiving an interim report for its consultant at a meeting where they expressed frustration over the bank's failure to provide crucial documents required for the probe. The committee, which was inaugurated a year ago by Senate President Godswill Akpabio, stated that the delay has significantly stalled progress on the investigation. Chairman of the committee, Senator Issa Jibrin, criticized the Apex Bank for withholding vital information despite multiple requests, revealing major infractions with the preliminary reports of the CBN.
Until they come up with the final report. But we've been compelled to make available this interim report to the Nigerian public, so that they know that, they let them know where the problem is. And the problem is that the Central Bank of Nigeria has denied us consistently the documents that we need to complete this assignment. That is the truth. I was at the CBN sometimes ago, which ordinarily I wasn't supposed to do. I met the CBN governor, I met Bala, the deputy governor, and they promised that nothing came out of it.
Although Mr. Abdullahi, the Director of Banking Services at the Central Bank of Nigeria, claimed that the Apex Bank had provided all the requested documents, Senator Issa Jibrin, the committee chairman, refuted the claim, insisting that the facts tell a different story.
The Consolidated Revenue Funds, which is the CRF, which is where the Ways and Means is, we have provided supporting documents in the folder. We also have schedules so that what distinguished Senator Adamu Alero said does not affect this committee. We provided a schedule showing summary of ways and means taken, direct ways and means and indirect ways and means.
You're still on to the news on Galaxy TV. Let's go on a break. When we come back, the news continues. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Now we move to the international desk for more news.
This is news from the international scene. At least 18 people have been killed and 23 injured in eastern Thailand after a tour bus rolled upside down into a ditch, police said. It was a downhill road and the brakes failed, and the driver lost control of the vehicle before it overturned, said Colonel Sophom Phramanihi, adding that those who died on Wednesday were adults on a study trip. There were 49 people on the bus, all Thai, including the driver, the police official told newsmen. Local officials said about 20 injured passengers were taken to hospital, warning that some remained in critical condition. Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra expressed her condolences to the victim's family and said an investigation was ongoing. Road accidents and deaths are common in Thailand due to weak enforcement of vehicle safety standards and poorly maintained roads. The Southeast Asian nation ranked 9th out of 175 World Health Organization member countries for road traffic death, according to its 2023 report. Last year, a school bus caught fire due to gasoline leak, killing 23 people, including 16 students in the country's deadliest road accident in a decade.
And that's it for now, but do join us at 9 p.m.